Welcome back to another video, but not for the weak-minded. As I said in the previous video, the next video is going to be about epidemics and how there's a pandemic of epidemics. And I'll try my best to not annoy the algorithm so that I get myself censored and the video deleted. But there's going to be some important information in this video about the times we're living in and why things are going in this direction. So, as I've already stated as well, I will, throughout this video, also explain what's been going on in my personal life and why there's no content. So, I hope you enjoy the video, and please like and subscribe.
Turbo cancers. Someone seems to be fine and non-symptomatic, and then all of a sudden you hear about people that are just hit with a stage 4 diagnosis, especially if they're like 37 or something like that. What would be happening in the body for something to go from a microscopic cancer and then all of a sudden you're at stage 4 but you don't even feel anything yet?
Cancers can be slow growing, medium growing, or fast growing. Now, I've done research on this. So a microscopic cancer that starts forming can't get any bigger than about 2 to 3 millimeters in diameter. That's about a grain of rice, okay? Can't get any bigger, no oxygen, no nutrients. It's stuck there, waiting for the immune system to just take it out. But over time, some of these cancers are able to hijack a blood supply. So it's kind of like they kick the cockpit door open and they take over the plane. And when they take over the blood supply, when we've studied this, the first blood vessel that actually grows up to, that's hijacked, that grows up to touch the tumor to deliver oxygen and nutrients, can make that microscopic cancer explode in size 16,000 times in size. That's how fast it'll grow once it's fed in 2 weeks. All right, so that's why angiogenesis, tumor angiogenesis, abnormal blood vessel growth that tumors hijack is such an important thing to prevent. And that's why diet, that's why medications, that's why lifestyle, whatever you can do to actually get in control of your own circulation so you can starve cancer by cutting off the blood supply, that is a very important thing to do.
So, terrible cancers. Something that has come about in the last 5 years, okay? We'll get through this. We'll just keep watching a couple more videos about it. Some of these videos aren't based for the UK, so I do apologise for that, but I do try and cater for just the UK audience, but this is an American video, I believe.
For the first time ever, new cases of cancer in the U.S. are expected to surpass 2 million. The alarming increase follows a period of relative stability in new cancer cases prior to COVID. Experts disagree on the root cause. Some say it's just a backlog after so many people put off screenings during the shutdowns. But some researchers point to the mysterious spike protein in COVID and made in the vaccines. They say it's causing turbo cancers. Dr. Nathan Goodyear is a medical doctor, an alternative treatment homeopath, and integrative oncologist. He became interested in specializing in cancer after he developed a tumor in his adrenal gland.
Turbo cancer describes what we see and what we've seen now for 4 years. And what we're seeing with the pandemic is cancer changing. There was cancer pre-pandemic and there's cancer post-pandemic. They are not the same thing.
Describe how they're different.
You know, before the pandemic was predominantly one that we would say we were winning the war on. It's predominantly one over the age of 50. What we are now seeing is a shifting geographics. Younger and younger, more aggressive, and just weird things. I have seen many men, in fact, in the last year, 4 men with breast cancer, many co-primaries, breast, pancreatic. These are rare, rare, rare things that you would see just a few instances in your clinical career. Other colleagues are seeing the same thing, and yet what we're told is don't believe your eyes and don't believe your ears.
Can you describe a moment when you started to think post-COVID, or as it was underway, there's something different happening with the cancers here?
I think the first thing I would say is when I saw a 28-year-old with stage 4 colorectal cancer early on in the pandemic. But when I saw a patient that was in remission, that had done amazingly well, stage 4 breast cancer, huge mass, huge lymphedema on morphine, got completely off of it, negative PET CT scan, travels to Connecticut for Christmas, travels home, gets COVID, 6 weeks, cancer's everywhere, and it doesn't respond to nothing, doesn't respond to anything. Those instances were a series of events, and that was the nail in the coffin that said this is not the same thing.
Have you been able to identify what you think about COVID or the pandemic is causing what you're calling turbo cancers?
It's very clear in the literature. You take spike protein, whether injection or infection, doesn't matter. It will bind into a conglomerate with that lipopolysaccharide and accelerate inflammation by 50%. And inflammation is the chronic platform of chronic disease, and so that'll accelerate cancer.
So aside from an awareness, because this is something people need to learn about and be aware of for anything to be done about it, what is it in terms of what you're telling people ought to be done?
Get ahead of it. The power to heal and maximize your healing potential rests with. Get ahead of it. The power to heal.
People need to learn about and be aware of for anything to be done about it. What is it?
There. Just a quick one. Many people are in these clubs. Not every single person in these clubs knows what the club is all about, really. However, I feel it's dualistic in its concept that there are good clubs and bad clubs. And he literally just touched his glasses, did a little one eye little symbol, because they all do it, to say he's in the club and that this is, trying to make you all aware. It's not an accident, is what I'm saying, that he touches his glass. He does that. Okay? But it doesn't mean he's evil, because he's exposing what's going on. So let's carry on.
Is it in terms of what you're telling people ought to be done?
Black and white.
Get ahead of it. The power to heal and maximize your healing potential rests within us. I always tell all of our patients that we take better care of our cars than we do our own bodies. We also want to innovate in the arena of therapies that allow us to heal, not destroy. When you look at surgery, when you look at full-dose chemo, both of those therapies have had advancements in medicine. There's no doubt. I was a surgeon.
Hands.
But at the same time, both of those were born out of war. And with war, war destroys. War destroys the enemy, and war destroys everything around.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it mustard gas was the origin of chemotherapy? Right? So they're using poisons as cures, and this doctor knows,
Around it. I think medicine needs a different approach. We need one that heals. Eliminate the tumor, but heal. So what we need to do is focus on therapies that heal.
Dr. Goodyear is part of an effort now to test ivermectin in a study to find out whether it improves cancer survival.
Ivermectin, another one. But anyway, intermittent fasting, turbo cancers is a different kettle of fish, unfortunately. They've attacked the human lymphatic system, and this is a result of trusting the television and them going it's safe and effective. yeah, and then everyone turning a blind eye and every excuse possible, but the one that actually caused it. Right, we'll get through this in a minute. There's an example I'll use. Here is another video just about terrible cancers in young people. I've never seen these videos, by the way. It's 23 minutes long. I might skip through a little bit of it. Just give us an
I
example.
saw this in the news today. The mysterious rise of cancer among young adults in the Corn Belt. This is from the Washington Post, saying in Iowa, young cancer patients are making the small state a bellwether of a generational reckoning. So they're seeing skyrocketing rates of cancer in young people. I wonder what could possibly be causing that. Couldn't possibly be the factors that the Maha movement is pointing out, the same factors that many claim to be a giant conspiracy theory. Well, what isn't a conspiracy theory is the fact that young people are seeing skyrocketing rates of cancer.
What a sum of mind. Recently, I've just saw that instead of making the manufacturers and the people that pushed it on us liable and make them accountable, they're now going to allow the doctors who push this into the arms of people for liability of damages instead. It's just another way out for them, these corporations, right? To get away with genocide, pushing it on the doctors that were just doing as they're told, right? Just doing my job. We've heard this before. Genocide, eugenics, okay? People need to wake up. And because they are, the last 5 years, the explosion of young people dying of heart attacks, strokes. We'll get through this in the entire video, but at the minute we're just talking about cancer and how it's affecting young people. And they are now going through chemotherapy, which is not a cure. It's a poison pretending to be a cure. And you're more likely still to get cancer after having the treatment. The fact of the matter is that diagnostics actually are part of the issue. The whole world is inverted and backwards, and the people that we call doctors are actually just quacks that work for pharmaceutical industry that's using poisons as cures. I probably said too much, but anyway, let's carry on with the video.
And this is incredibly alarming. Washington Post wasn't the only one. This was in today's news, but just a couple of weeks ago, the New York Times reported on something very similar. Why are more young people getting cancer? So this is real. This is not just something that a bunch of quacks online are talking about. Cancer is rising amongst young people, skyrocketing rates of cancer. Older people are getting it as well, but younger people, we're seeing a skyrocketing rate of cancer. The New York Times article, they pointed out that recent analysis shows that a significant rise in the incidence of cancer among young people under 50 in the United States over the past decade. Those born in 1990 face a quadruple risk for rectal cancer and more than double the risk for colon cancer compared to people born in 1950. What? People born in 1950 have...
Well, probably because in 1950, they wasn't trying to kill us all, right? They wanted a healthy population, because they were just finished the war still. But nevertheless, during the war, they wanted a healthy population. They didn't. They gave us iodine tablets, and they allowed us to go to the bunkers, etc. We're in a state of war now, and they're not telling us F all, bar brief, and I mean brief, few little articles and news headings here and there of, oh, you should prepare. That is it. So yeah, what this country's got in store for it is a shock. They really want to depopulate our land and replace the people. Simple. Anyway, let me skip ahead. She's basically saying people getting cancer. A lot more people getting cancer. It's on the rise, and there's a reason, right? I don't need to show any more of this video. If you want to see it, I'll leave it in the description below. The link, that is. So, in 2025, the term turbo cancers has been used to describe a pattern of unusually aggressive, rapidly progressing cancers reported by some clinicians, particularly in younger patients and those with prior history of cancer remission, often following COVID-19 vaccination. Yeah? But don't worry, because, right, they got the cure for it. More poisons, of course. Don't trust the pharmaceutical industries, unfortunately. It's harder than it sounds, especially if you're already in a condition where you need to, they need to do something, you know. Um, I'm in that same predicament where I have to take pharmaceutical drugs for the rest of my life, or I should, because I've had a kidney transplant, and it's not been going very well for me. Let's be honest. I wish I knew a lot more information when I was younger, and none of this would have happened. Would have prevented it. So anyway, turbo cancer is on the rise. Sudden deaths. The increase turbo induced cancers from vaccines, lymphoma, glioblastoma or rare brain tumors, breast cancers, usually, I don't know, triple negative, I don't know what that exactly means, but colon cancer and lung cancer. So let's read that a sec. COVID-19 mRNA vaccine sparks immune response to fight cancer, study finds. What a load of baloney! But this is the stuff that's being pushed, right? And yet we've just discussed turbo cancers and their connection to this, right? And yet the same breath we have this type of video, right? It's disgusting that these people are allowed to have a platform.
For the last 12 years, we've been working on personalized mRNA cancer vaccines. Over this time, we made an absolutely fascinating discovery, which is even if the mRNA is completely nonspecific to a patient's cancer, that mRNA could wake up the sleeping giant that is the immune system to fight cancer. We discovered this in mouse models, and a brilliant graduate student who was working with us, Adam Grippin, who's now at MD Anderson, asked a brilliant question, which is, if nonspecific mRNA vaccines can wake up the immune system against cancer, what happens to patients receiving the COVID-19 mRNA vaccine? What happens to those patients who are also receiving conventional immunotherapies? And the results were absolutely remarkable. Patients with some of the most aggressive forms of skin and lung cancer had a near doubling in survival outcome. If they received these COVID-19 mRNA vaccines within 100 days of also receiving conventional immunotherapy.
This is one of the most exciting
How much did they get paid to say this
in my
lies?
20-year career as a cancer researcher. I think the confirmatory work in a prospective trial is of the utmost importance
Money
and
talks.
urgency. The notion that we may be able to use a simple vaccine to awaken a patient's immune response to better fight their disease may totally change the way we think about treating cancer for the foreseeable future.
Now, through the One Florida Consortium, we're working to prove these results definitively in a phase 3 randomized control trial. And if proven to be true, this could revolutionize the field of cancer by allowing something like a universal cancer vaccine to be instantly available to patients around the globe, to wake up their immune system, and now keep it active with some of the conventional therapies available.
If this goes through as they want it to happen, guess what we'll see? An increase in cancers and an increase in autoimmune diseases, as well as heart attacks and strokes, etc., etc. Because it's already happening. These people are delusional. But they make a point that they're going to use mRNA for the future of fighting cancer. This is what I'm trying to tell you to stay away from. If it comes in a needle, you say no. You say, what's in it? I'm allowed to ask what's in it before you put it in me, yeah? Informed consent. So anyway, I'm going to get really pissy sometimes during this video because it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting that they're going to get away with this and normalize insanity so that more people are going to fall for it. Go away, substitutes, subtitles. Right. How mRNA could be a breakthrough for cancer and other diseases. I'm not playing it. I'm just going to irritate myself. But it's the same thing. How personalized mRNA vaccines could revolutionize cancer treatment. TED Talk, right? So there's an epidemic in cancers? Yes. Is there an epidemic in lung issues? Yes. A significant backlog of undiagnosed lung conditions persists in the UK, with evidence suggesting a substantial number of cases of asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and interstitial lung disease. All these were missed during the pandemic. No, they were created by the pandemic because people were wearing masks, killing their brain, yeah, breathing in microplastics, not getting enough oxygen and enough exercise, and as a result, living in fear. These things happened. Because SARS-CoV-2 is a respiratory disease, yeah, that has never been isolated using Koch's postulates, but that's another fucking story. So the pandemic's responses, okay, have caused an increase in lung disease. Not surprising when everyone's wearing masks and breathing in chemtrails. Lung disease trends in the UK before and after COVID-19. Yeah, as you know, as I'm saying, it's increasing. So, heart attacks. Let's listen to Dr. John Campbell.
A warm welcome to today's talk, Sunday the 8th of July. Now I'm going to be looking at some fairly alarming data today from the British Heart Foundation, which is basically a charity that supports various types of heart research. Now it does give some explanations for the dramatic increase in cardiac deaths that we are seeing. But I'm going to add nuance to this data when we compare it with the international excess deaths, which we'll see remain high, and yet we're hearing nothing about this in mainstream media or from our politicians. Now this is the article here from the British Heart Foundation. Not particularly scientifically detailed, but you know, fairly clear as far as it goes, and we'll see that it is deeply troubling. Now, I have checked the data that they give from the official government site, and it does check out the data is accurate. So let's look at this. This is interesting for two reasons. Firstly, for what it says, and secondly, for what it doesn't say. So we'll be looking at both aspects of that. Now, It doesn't take too long to go through this. Nearly 100,000 more deaths involving heart conditions and strokes than usual since the pandemic began. Now, this is the official government data from the Office of Health Improvements that it comes from. We're going to do more on that shortly. There is a breakdown of the cardiovascular data, but the cardiovascular data, if you add together the diseases of the heart and blood vessels, including the diseases of the blood vessels that affect the brain, what I would normally call cerebrovascular disease, they are by far and away the biggest cause of excess deaths, although other things do crop up which are quite interesting, although respiratory disease, which you might expect after a respiratory pandemic, doesn't really feature very much at all. But let's stick to what we're doing at the moment. Since the pandemic began, an average of over 500 additional deaths a week from cardiovascular disease. Quite alarming, really. So that includes heart, blood vessel and blood supply to the brain deaths, cardiovascular, cerebrovascular conditions. More excess deaths involving cardiovascular conditions than any other group. This is what we're seeing mostly, diseases of the heart and blood vessels. A total of the exact number here, 96,540 extra cardiovascular deaths since February 2020, which I suppose was roughly the start of the pandemic. Now, in the first year of the pandemic, COVID-19 drove high numbers of excess deaths. Now, camps have become a bit...
Listen, yeah, we know that we shouldn't trust their statistics because they falsified everything. You know, you hit by a bus, it was a COVID death. You died of cancer, COVID death. If you died, yeah, influenza was 0. People die of influenza, COVID, right? So every death was labeled COVID. So we can't really rely upon a lot of the information. We have to use our intuition, right? And read between the lines for a lot of the stuff that they give us anyway. And they don't really want to point out the obvious.
Divided on this. But there's no question that I talk to my friends who work on intensive care, and they were seeing people dying of COVID in 2020 in the Wuhan wave. And there's no question that cardiovascular deaths were one of the ways that people sadly...
What, you mean when there were empty hospitals, yeah, and TikTok dancing nurses, etc., right? People die every day. And if you want to carry on watching this video, I'll leave it in the link in the description, but I'm just trying to make a point that the excess heart deaths, okay? The heart failure epidemic, and this was way before, written way before COVID. So it's increased massively. It was already an epidemic, okay? And now it's like a super epidemic. If there is such a thing, if we want to label such a thing, this is it. Like the super epidemic of heart failure in the UK, in young and all ages, let's be honest, but more in the young, people that shouldn't be having heart attacks, and a wave of terrible cancers on the rise. We are a very sick nation. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Next page. So, increase in strokes. The UK is facing a significant rise in stroke cases, with projections indicating substantial increase in both incidence and prevalence over the coming years. The number of strokes in the UK is expected to rise by 50 to 60% by 2035. People are literally dropping dead. The number of people living with dementia is on the rise. And let's just watch a 6-minute video about dementia, the impact of it. It's a real these are real problems we're facing as a nation, as a civilization, and it's a cause and effect. There is a cause and a reason they're doing this to us. I just wish people see how evil it is and wake up, because we can do better. As much as all of this is on the downer, you know, we can't let it defeat us as a society, especially.
Across the nation tonight, there are 11 million unpaid caregivers for people living with dementia. 2/3 of the caregivers are women.
High fives?
Yeah. This is Sierra's mother, Leslie, who has FTD and has lost her words.
I wake up and I forget that she's sick. I forget that she can't talk. Mama, did you have a good weekend?
Emma says she is trying to give these caregivers the kind of roadmap she didn't have, a helping hand for the hard path ahead.
Nicole, I know Nicole.
These are heroes, the caregivers. This is the disease of our civilization.
Dr. Bruce Miller is a leading expert in frontotemporal dementia. He did not treat Bruce Willis, but he is grateful to Emma for shining a light on this little understood disease.
At our site in San Francisco, we are putting up a Emma Willis roadmap for caregivers. The minute I met her, I knew she would make a difference.
Do you think about, and maybe this isn't a fair question, what you'd most like to ask him?
Just how he's doing. If he's okay, if he feels okay. If there's anything that we could do to support him better, I would really love to know that. If he's scared, if he's ever worried, you know, I just like, I just would love to be able to just to have a conversation with him.
Can you finish the sentence, love is?
Love is grabbing a tissue. Love is beautiful. It's grand. It's unconditional.
I will try to fix you.
And we sure can feel it right there. We are joined now.
So anyway, lovely that was. But I'd never seen. I didn't read the video. Start again. I never watched the video prior to now. And yeah, for old Bruce Willis, eh? Forgot about that. Early signs of dementia. Fuck's sake. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! A significant rise in the incidence of autoimmune disorders. But, yeah, I mean, I'm one of them. You know, I never took the vaccine, obviously, but they keep pushing it. I mean, I still get invites to have a spring shot, a summer shot, an autumn shot. You know, it's never ending, and it's sickening, to be honest. Recently, I ended up being hospitalized because of my kidneys, autoimmune disease, and I was in there for almost a month. I wasn't in a good condition. I almost died. Long story short, I'm always trying to heal myself, different means, and I did a week's fast, and instead of using the lemon water like I did before, I decided to use baking soda with a bit of salt, and I took way too much salt and poisoned myself, and made myself very, very ill. I lost probably 2 stone in weight, and blood pressure when I ended up in hospital was probably, if I remember, 270 over 170 collapsed, you know. Kidney was going through rejection. I had to go for experimental drugs, being pumped with white rabbit lymphatic cells. Terrible. I mean, it goes against my whole moral compass, putting animal cells into my body, but what can you do? You know, you're stuck in that situation, you know, of already having another person's kidney inside of you. And I'm at the point now where it's failing and I needed potentially dialysis and another transplant. And my mental state in the minute isn't great, let's be honest. I'm hoping these videos will help me mentally, even though we're talking about a lot of dark stuff, to get a lot of this off my chest. Will help, because I've not been doing anything over the last 6 months, a year. You know, I've had a lot of mental health issues regarding my own personal health. Watching the world go by, that's caused a lot of other health problems. We'll say mental health issues. You know, but still, I've got to be grateful for the things I've got, and as much as I am suffering, I need to keep pushing forward, keep speaking the truth, keep showing people what's going on until I die. Millions in England face second pandemic of mental health issues. So there's an epidemic of absolutely everything out there. And we would say that's a pandemic. You know, the real pandemic is all of these health crises at once, as well as the economic pressures of and societal pressures, and the fact that, well, I was trying to say in 2017 that they're going to change the education system towards teaching a lot of stuff that we shouldn't let the kids be taught in the classrooms. And this is what's also causing mental illness, the gender nonsense. So what is mental illness? Just smoke some weed. So, on a serious note, if you do really need help, please reach out to someone and talk to them. you know, if you're feeling suicidal, please know that there are people out there that want to help you, you know, and as much as you're going through all of those things, there's lessons to be learned, and as hard as it is, sitting there and breathing and just talking to someone about it can really help you see that these challenges are part of your spiritual and physical growth in this reality of hardship and suffering. So the mental illness costs the UK over 378 billion a year. Recently, the plague has appeared in California, and again, could be just propaganda, but this propaganda is leading towards potentially scaring more and more people to take uh, another mRNA vaccine, right? For this said thing. New Mexico man diagnosed with plague in state's first human case this year, right? So we're talking about Black Death and plague, hemorrhagic fevers, yeah, SPARS. And now, the Black Death today, Oxford launches clinical trial of plague vaccine. Before we do that, let me just go back to the mental health. I do suffer myself from withdrawal from society. I don't have many friends at all. The friends I do have that I talk online with, that I grew up with, they're not so supportive with how I think. But it is what it is, you know. Recently, how can I've had a lot of problems due to pharmaceutical drugs causing brain fog issues, and secondly, motivation problems for doing anything. Personally, I think, why bother? You know, half the time trying to wake people up, you know. But you've got, as much as you know, you don't want to, you've got to. I'm having problems thinking right now. Anyway, here we are. Let's crack on with the video. Back to the Black Death. In the midst of a global pandemic, here we go. Fear. We've heard that before. Safe and effective. Oh, I will give people plague. Be wary. That's all I'm saying of the times we're living in. Absolute psychopaths around the world. So, as it says, phase 1 trial begins of the new vaccine against plague. Right? Dear. And then lastly, recently, this is going off in China. It all started in China, so why not? Let's bring it back to China. No, just you. Spreading fear. Music's annoying. Yeah, as you can see, fear porn. They're using the critical situation of the last 5 years and showing you, oh look, people really, really sick. There must be another virus, right? No, people are really sick because you've injected them with shit and they're walking around with masks for 5 years. Goodness sake. So, that is the end of the video. I hope you did enjoy my video. I really am trying to just make you aware that we need to find alternative solutions to our current problems. And the answers do lie in knowledge of creation itself. Sound, for example. But two, your pineal gland being open and your brain working to asking the right questions and your pineal gland open so that you can have spiritual discernment so that you do not get deceived any further in the near future to take a potential, phase 1 trial, safe and effective, bubonic plague, right? So there is an epidemic of pandemics which has been created by mass ignorance. No word of a lie. Trusting doctors that work for the pharmaceutical industry, in fact, the last 100 years, being completely controlled by the elites. Yeah. The oil industry, the bankers. It's time for a revolution. It starts with you. Not believing everything you see on the news and asking why would they do such a thing in the first place. And the answer is ultimately they want to hive mind our species with nanotechnology and change our genetic code so that we're no longer human and no longer have human rights. And therefore, right, will be like the Greys. Some of them absolutely no free will biobots. That's the future they want for you. So let's not keep ignoring the mRNA elephant in the room, shall we? And let's wake up, people, to the actual causes of these things, and then stop it in its tracks. Let's not blame the doctors for injecting it. Let's blame the corporations for creating it and the media for pushing it on us with fear. terrible cancers. Take care now. Thank you for watching.